Just listen along. Everyone, Eddie has asked me if I would pray prior to opening the meeting, and I've said I would. God of heaven, here we are again, pursuing the business of this town that we are so thankful and privileged to live in and be part of. So as we pursue good things for ourselves and our community, we ask for your blessing and we ask for wisdom. And for being in this place at this time, we thank you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. All right, we'll have pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America. The republic
Stands
one nation under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Hello there, Lucinda.
Hello.
Well, we have a full board this evening. So
I'm just gonna turn this up. Lucinda, can you say hi one more time?
Hi.
there we go. All right, Sarah, public comments.
There were no requests for public comment.
All right. So we don't have a town attorney report. Moving on down to 1-1, approve the meeting minutes from the December 11th regular meeting. Board discussion.
Yeah, I had a couple of things. Not necessarily are they wrong, but down there under updates, planning and discussion, in the second paragraph where it says Trustee Tom Gibb stated that this is a good idea, we really need to put down the block because every block has the same lot numbers. Not all, but most. So 17 to 26 means nothing to me. We need to
Okay.
say lot 17 to
Block.
26, block, whatever. And let's see here. There are just some other little typos, but that was the one thing I saw that I really thought needed to be fixed.
Sure.
So I don't know the block off the top of my head, so I will just add that. I'll go look it up and I'll add the block number to that section.
Oh yeah, no problem. Thank you.
The other thing, while we're right there on that paragraph, we might change that to County Road 76.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, and yeah, and on the next page, nope, third page. It says County Road 70, last page. Sorry about that. It says County Road 77.
On the last page?
Of the minutes. Under Mark's, Ross Miller's.
Okay, okay. Thank
No
you.
big deal, but
No, this is the time to fix it.
All right, any other board comments or revisions? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes with the suggested revisions.
I will so move, says Lucinda.
Scoot it a little closer.
I was only here for part, I was online on the Zoom for part of that, most of the meeting. Until I
You'll be
had
all
to
right.
leave. So go ahead. I'll second that motion.
All right. We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the December 11th, 2023 meeting as revised. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? So carried.
Oh, Mr. Mayor, I just now noticed, I was on Zoom for most of that meeting.
Okay.
So should we add that?
Yeah, if I don't have that on there, let me add that.
Sorry.
That's okay. Now is the time.
It doesn't matter.
All right, got it.
All right, moving on. Item 1-2, discuss and vote on adopting ordinance 2024-1, which is repealing ordinance 2018-8. Any board discussion?
Just some clarification for those that don't know what's going on here. We have an attorney who needs a different Monday night than the second one. He wants the third. And so we're going to accommodate him and change the date of our regularly monthly meetings.
And we're also going to straighten that out because he informed us that we just need a resolution, not an ordinance setting the date. So,
Okay.
any other board discussion?
So you're saying we do not need to adopt the ordinance?
No, if you look down, it'll be a resolution this time instead of an ordinance.
But
So if
it's
you look
gonna
at
be,
item 1-3,
Got it.
and it's gonna be the second Monday.
no, it will be the third Monday. We're the second Monday now.
Oh, I always think we're the first. Okay,
And you're even here tonight. All right.
yeah,
All right. Any other board discussion? Public comments? If you would step up to the mic, please.
People's comment, simply, many third Mondays are holidays, is that going to affect your schedule?
All right, Sarah, do we have any other comments on the?
It does not appear that we have any other comments. If anybody who is online wishes to make a comment, now would be the time to do so. Okay, thank you very much.
All right. Any other board discussion? I would entertain a motion for item 1-2.
Make a motion that we adopt ordinance 2024-1.
Repeal. Yeah.
We got a motion. Do I have a second?
This is Jerry, I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second to adopt ordinance 2024-1, which repeals ordinance.
No.
8.
Well, I
Dash
recommend some more bread. Okay. Yeah.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
aye,
All opposed? So carried. Moving on, item 1-3. Discuss and vote on adopting resolution 2024-1, which sets a regular meeting date of the third Monday of the month for our regular meeting dates. Board discussion? Public comment? Any other public comment?
Jess Garrison, I assume that'll start in February.
That's correct.
Now, concerning the zoning board of adjustments, we would like to move to the second Monday where you currently are. Do I do that now or when or what?
You already did that.
Oh, we already,
Zoning board meeting.
okay, that's fantastic. Thank you.
You're on it. It's done. And I think actually that will be a lot more convenient to have the zoning board meetings before the trustee meetings, so. Any other discussion online? All right. If there's no.
Mr. Todd says, yes.
Okay,
Supposed to hear something.
I believe somebody just commented yes. So if there's no further board discussion, I would entertain a motion to vote on resolution 2024-2. Oh, I'm sorry, 2024-1.
Yeah, this is Tom, and I will make a motion to adopt resolution 2024-1 regarding setting a regular meeting date on the third Monday.
This is Chris, second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So carried. Moving on, item 1-4, discuss and vote on adopting resolution 2024-2, posting locations. Sarah, would you just give us a brief update on that?
Sure, there are actually no updates. The posting locations will remain the same. That is the indoor bulletin board at the post office and online at the Town of Pitkin website. This is just a required resolution that we pass at our first meeting of every calendar year.
All right, any board discussion? Public comments? Any comments online? All right. I would entertain a motion for resolution 2024-2 then.
This is Chris, make a motion to adopt resolution 2024-2.
This is Jara and I.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve resolution 2024-2. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? So carried. Moving on, item 1-5, discuss and vote on adopting ordinance 2024-2, clerk compensation. Sarah, would you just,
Vote on this? I did have a question. If you noticed on this ordinance underneath, the last paragraph where it says, now therefore be it ordained by the board of trustees, da. Item number 3, I didn't know if the board wanted to make an accommodation for hours over 40. And if so, what that would be. So I modeled this after the previous ordinance that was set. And the way that one worked is it was 800 for up to 40 hours per month with an additional 20 for every hour over 40 that was worked. So I wasn't sure if you wanted to keep that same number for this ordinance or if you wanted to adjust it so that the hourly compensation matched what the salary kind of is, if that makes sense.
Figure out what that is.
It was like 31 something, like $30. 30 is a nice even number. If you wanted to just make it easy like that.
48 and 20 hours.
Well, this would be for up to 40 hours. Yeah. 31.25. So I didn't have that filled in just yet.
board discussion? Are we in agreement? Do you want to just make that an even 30?
Make it the same as it was last. For the hourly.
The hourly was what,
31.25 is what the
Before?
hourly works out to be. Oh, before it was 20.
yeah, it's
No,
20
it's like
before.
whatever the calculation.
Okay, so for the current 40-hour compensation, the hourly is 31.25.
Okay. So 31.25.
That's what I'm.
Okay.
agreeing to.
Any other board discussion?
Nope.
Lucinda?
Nope.
All right. Public comments?
Jeff Garrettson, question. Doesn't an ordinance require a public hearing? No,
Not for an
I thought
ordinance.
Last month, we said it did.
No, that's for the zoning ordinance. That's.
To adopt the zoning code requires an
Well,
ordinance.
I had some
Requires-
numbers I wanted to present. I was going to do it during budget time because I thought we had to have a public hearing here.
We're having a public hearing to adopt the budget this evening.
Some of my comments apply to this situation.
We can come back to it.
I think if you want to make a comment now, go ahead. No, oh, you gotta get your numbers. All right.
Just to make our Pitkin council, you're aware of all these things, but to bring them to a head. In the volunteer department of Pitkin, we have cemetery board, zoning board, city hall commissioner, environmental health, street commissioner, ditch commissioner, parks and rec. 2 of those are vacant. Possibly because the reward is so terrific that they don't want to fill it. Now, we jumped from, we already showed our appreciation to the building inspector, which is, I recommended it. The clerk at $800 for 40 hours is $20, or for 20 hours, it's $40 an hour. And going, it's kind of hard to say, and doing less for the zoning board than we've ever done as a clerk position. It's kind of a challenge. And if we just jump to $1,200 a month, that's a 50% increase. And at 24 hours, it's $48. We pay our trustees a pittance. We pay our mayor very under the required responsibilities. And our new attorney pay is going to at least double. Snowbound is increasing. Mag chloride, gravel, freight, county equipment rental has jumped, and it'll keep jumping. Our town sales tax can't keep up with our spending. When is our next mill levy going to be on the ballot? And I want to remind you that when it does go on the ballot, if approved an increase, you're a year out from that. So we're at least 2 years or 18 months at least from a possible income. I'm not complaining about our clerk's pay. A laborer is worthy is higher. But what I'm wanting is us to understand we're spending money pretty frivolously, almost like water. And you want to be truthful? I bust my ass. I'm lucky I have to get money for my tractor. Thank you. I do love the town bit.
If we could just try to put the scope just about what we're discussing right now, if you could.
Since 2016, when our town clerk took the job. And it was approved for $800 per month, 3 hours a month. She agreed willingly at that point.
Oh, can you maybe grab a different mic?
Just get closer. She agreed willingly at that point to help create the zoning board agenda. To do any mailings for the zoning board of adjustments that were needed. And quite honestly, at that point, anything else that was needed, she was willing to jump in and do. In June, she also volunteered to help create and update our spreadsheet for the building permits. At that time, she stated I have plenty of hours under the 40 hours to do so. In November and December, she informed Jesse, chairman of the zoning board adjustments, that she no longer will do the mailings, certified letters from the post office because it takes too much time, because they're only open certain hours. She no longer would do the spreadsheet for the building permits. She would no longer do the zoning board agenda, assist with that. She would post it because that was specified in the zoning code that she had to do. So we have a town clerk at this point that is asking to do less, and we want to pay more, 50% more. A 50% pay increase is pretty well unheard of. She even stated back when she started in 2016 that she, not knowing the job, she worked extremely hard, many times more than 40 hours a month, and was paid the $20 an hour additional for that. And throughout the years, she has gotten way more proficient at it. Quite honestly, she does a very good job. But she did admit at the last meeting that she keeps track of her hours, which I might add, I don't believe the board has ever asked to see how many hours she actually works each month. But she did say that she works 25 on average, 25 hours a month. So a 50% pay increase, working almost half as many hours. I think you might want to go back and revisit what the salary should be for a town clerk. And at $12.50 a month with $50 an hour might be a bit excessive. It might be a little bit on the strong side to make a move like that. Those are my thoughts.
Other public comments? Anyone on the Zoom meeting have a comment? Doesn't appear so. Any other board discussion? We were discussing the amount for hours exceeding 40 hours per month. So Chris, I believe you said 31.25. That's what it. All right. Any other board discussion on that? Suggestion of 31.25. All right. Well, we are working on adopting that ordinance, so if there's no other board discussion, no other public comments, we'll go ahead and plug in 31.25 there on number 3. And then I would entertain a motion to vote on resolution 2020, or ordinance rather, ordinance 2024-2.
This is Chris, I make a motion to adopt ordinance 2024-2.
This is Chair, and I'll second.
All right. We have a motion and a second to approve ordinance 2024-2. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So carried. Moving on to item 1-6, treasurer's report. Sarah.
I don't believe we have any changes to the treasurer's report this month, so it is just as is.
So on the disbursements for the snow plowing, that was for December, right?
Correct. That was for December. We have not received an invoice for January. I don't think they've been here this month. No. So that was for 3 visits in December that we were invoiced for.
All right. Board discussion. Oh,
Yeah, I had a question. So, street commissioner, do you keep track of that's it?
Do I keep track of what?
Of the snowplow appearances here? in town?
Yes.
So is that right? I mean, I hope if the street commissioner is keeping track of it, I wouldn't want them to, I don't believe they would slide anything in ours. I don't mean that at all.
I'm not, or not, informed as to what we're paying on any invoice. Does not come to me. It comes straight to our clerk.
No, I'm not, that's not my question. My question is, you're keeping track of the appearances here in town for
Yes,
snow
ma'am.
plowing. So that if there was a question, here again, do not misunderstand. I am not saying at all. I think they're very,
Oh, I trust them wholeheartedly.
I think they're very
Like I said,
trustworthy.
I've been keeping track of when they
Thank you.
show up
that's all I
or when
wanted
I
to know.
call.
That's all I wanted to know, so that if there's a discrepancy, just so we have a checks and balances.
You guys can look at my, day planner gizmo where I keep track. I'll share it with you anytime you ask.
So it shows under your report that there were 2 4-inch snowfalls with no snow plowing. Do we have an idea for December, how many times they came out?
3,
3?
yes.
Okay,
And those two, there's like 4 inches, both events. And so they didn't count. The
Right.
truck ran on Main Street, both of them.
right.
And the amazing thing, the road graders ran on Main State Street at least this morning, which I don't think got up the river or not. But Pete says it got up the river.
Yep.
So I saw side streets like 6, for example, 5th, that they had been on. So probably they will add that too. I put that note in my day planner this morning. So, I'm sure they're getting ready for what's supposed to hit us Wednesday.
So Sarah, if you could, maybe, you have the invoice there
I do.
from December.
Hold on.
Could you just go through that so
Yes,
everyone hears?
So what it says is that snow removal services were provided on December 3rd, December 4th, and December 14th. $1,300 per event for a total of $3,900.
That's Gunnison Valley
That's
excavation.
Gunnison Valley
Correct.
Excavation.
I believe that's right on par. County,
Right.
I don't know what their request is.
Yeah, the county doesn't send us their invoice until, the very end of 2024. They'll send us their invoice for this season. And that is not based on events, it's just based on
Right.
our sales tax redistribution.
That was my understanding. But I'm trying to keep track of both of them.
Yep. All right,
Thank you.
that. Any other questions on disbursements?
Yes,
Mm-mm.
if Sarah wouldn't mind, could you give a little more detail on the disbursement for office supplies?
Yes, let me look at that one. Oh, boy. I have to remember, hold on. I'm pulling up that invoice, take a peek at it. I bought some filing stuff for town hall, and that was $31.96. Some, I don't know what they're called. It's metal and it goes inside of a filing door so you can hang folders. So I bought some of that, and then I'll have to find the invoice, something else for $5 at the paperclip, and I don't remember what it was. Oh, I do. I sent a fax. Yeah,
Thank you.
And I might have one more
Sure.
question. My question, Sarah, is about the attorney.
yes.
We paid him in advance because he's on retainer. is
He's
it?
on retainer beginning in the month of December, and actually, he did, some work for us in the month of November, but he went ahead and comped that time. He said he would prefer to just begin in the month of December with his invoices.
So it's not in advance, then it's retro.
It's retro,
Okay.
correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other board discussion on disbursements?
Mm-mm.
All right, if not, I would entertain a motion to approve the January disbursements.
This is Jara and I so move.
Lucinda and I second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the January disbursements. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? So carried. All right, moving on. Under number 5, updates, planning and discussion. Discuss a request from Jake Schellenberg to develop River Street to access his property in Block 2. Jake, if you like to.
Jake Schellenberg, Pitkin. Yes, so I have the, I think it's the 36 lots there. On both sides of the river between 11th and 12th. And, this kind of goes in line with the originally wanting to vacate some of the alley and 11th Street, I think, I can't remember. And that didn't sound like the town was interested, so I would just like to go ahead and have the town open River Street, which runs between 11th and 12th, runs on the town side instead of the mountain side of the river, if that makes sense. And that way, I've got people interested in lots there, and so we need to make sure they have access to the lots.
So have you looked at as far as asking the town to develop that street to the full width, the full length? What exactly are you asking for?
Is State Street developed to its full width?
It's surveyed fully.
No, but is it developed to its full width? So I think that'd be ridiculous. Like, I think common sense, a lot of, you're kind of looking at a neighborhood setting, and I think a pretty common street width in a neighborhood is 30 to 32 feet, something like that. Is that right, Chris?
So how far did you want to,
Between 11th and 12th,
all the way to the 12th Street?
right? And then I bought rock gravel a few years ago on 12th Street, so it would just tie them. So it would just be the River Street portion.
So basically this request is so you can develop some of your property there.
Correct.
Okay. Any other comments?
I think there's some concern about wetlands and how to work around that. And I'm working with Law of the Rockies already. They do a lot of this development when it comes to creeks and wetlands and all through the Denison Valley. So, yeah, they say it's just a process. So, I'm trying to make sure we do it the correct way.
Okay, anything else you want to add?
That's it.
All right, so you would like the town at our expense to develop that street? That's what you're
I
asking
think
for.
that would be the respectable thing to do, but I mean, it needs to get done, so if the town is unable to see the value that some developed properties bring, then I'm just gonna move forward. Yeah, or I'd be willing to help fund it, I guess, but I don't think it should be my responsibility. I think the town should see the long-term value in what's gonna come, so.
Have you done any projections at all as to the cost?
For the street?
Mhm.
No.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
No, I figured the town would be the one that decides how wide it's gonna be, so. I'm sure it adds cost per width, so,
Okay, thank
all
you.
right.
And
Yes.
you've asked questions, are we allowed to ask questions?
Sure.
And I'm just curious, Mr. Schulberg, if you had a preference, would you rather the town abandon all the roads and alleys and you install the roads as you need them? Or would you rather do what you're proposing tonight?
I can make either work. I think it would look cleaner, more professional if they were vacated. But it didn't sound like that was something the town was interested in, just a lot more stuff that I have to try to do to get it done, so it's not really worth my time to sit here and fight it for 3, 6, 9 months. And still not get it vacated, so.
I believe I was absent at that meeting, and maybe, maybe not. Did you offer to absorb the cost of putting the roads in as you needed them at the town? Abandoned the alleys and roads, you would absorb the cost of putting the roads in?
Correct, if they vacated, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Other board comments?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I looked at the state statute and
Well,
I looked at the state statute and did not find what I was looking for. First of all, are we as a statutory town required to put in roads on the platted streets? I don't
To
know.
develop them.
I didn't find it. I mean, I don't know if we're required, and if we are required, are we willing, or is it? Mike, I just have a question, and I didn't find my answer.
All right. Just in reply to what you just brought up, I think that is probably certainly a question for our attorney to review that, but
Is he
In-
online tonight?
no, he wasn't available this evening. He should be available next month.
So that brings up another question, because when I didn't find what I was looking for, remind me, we as board members are not supposed to contact the attorney with questions, right?
That's right. Other board discussion?
Yeah, so this is Tom. In regards to vacating streets, we've already seen 2 rounds of this in recent history. Actually 3. One required some vacation over there in order to accommodate the fire station that had been there a long time and wants to do some other things, but they couldn't do anything because they didn't actually own the property they were sitting on. So we had to clean that up. Then we had 7th Street and 8th Street. And so far, the town's not really vacated any streets. The one accommodation seems to be the fire station.
In recent history.
Do what?
I say in recent history.
In recent, well, in my memory. And I wouldn't want to have to revisit some of those things because we have changed our MO here in vacating streets for whatever reason. It's town property and vacations probably need more support than just what this council can say. My opinion.
All right. Lucinda?
Yeah, my question is, with the realignment that the Mutz Clayton family did over there many years ago, what are we looking at as far as a width of River Street? I know we said we'd talk about the width later, but it can't be 80 feet. River Street is through the rest of the town. So what do you think we're looking at? I heard somebody mention 30 feet. I think that was Jake. But I think we got to make sure that it's not already, dedicated to be 25 feet or 40 feet or whatever. So my concern is the width.
All right. So a couple of comments I have is, one, unfortunately, the town of Pitkin really doesn't have any construction standards. We don't have a road standard that we can really stand on, I believe. So that's something that I think we should develop before we start developing any roads. That's one comment. The second comment is, typically, from what I've seen in working for the city of Gunnison for 23 years, the town of Crested Butte for a couple of years, most of the time, when a developer comes in and wants to develop a street, it isn't the city or the municipality that pays for it. It's the developer. The developer puts it in and then dedicates it back to the municipality. Same way if there were utilities or anything like that. Typically, it's the same way. The developer pays for the upfront cost of it, then they dedicate it to the municipality. So that's something that, along with the question that Jared brought up, as far as what are the requirements of the town, I think that's a question that we need to get to our town attorney. So I will ask Sarah right now, you will check with the town attorney and see just what the requirements are of a statutory town in regards to development of platted streets.
Yeah, this
and
is,
alleys, et cetera.
this is Tom, and I would agree with that assessment because I don't quite follow the dedicated back if it wasn't handed over to get dedicated back, and what kind of legalese jargon would go along with that. So I would say we probably need an opinion.
Any other board discussion? Lucinda, did you have any other questions?
No.
All right, public comment. I think Jesse had his up first before, but we'll get to everybody. Go ahead.
Dennis Garrison again. Couple different hats I wear and some concerns and stuff. Going back to vacation, we do have an ordinance for vacating streets and alleys on our records for the town of Pitkin. And on the zoning board, we followed those to a T in the Archuleta and the Cali requests. And when we come up with the answer of price per square footage for the Archuleta case, this is history. The Archuleta thought it was too high price, but I followed the procedure. And then they hired an attorney out of Grand Junction, and that attorney muscled us to say we couldn't sell any property. And the current attorney we had at that time told us, so be it. We probably got what we paid for that attorney. I'm not going to make any names or anything, but as to my knowledge, he never even checked into it. So I am very supportive of getting this new attorney on the stick to find out what a statutory town is requested to do or required to do, right down to snowplow. I am concerned that we're getting out in left field and we're crossing bridges and we're stirring up trash before we know where we're going. And I don't like division. And so I want to lay the stand. And I hate to say it, I would put all my ducks in this new attorney's basket. But what we're paying, you ought to know something, and ought to be able to find out something. And so I am disturbed and upset to find out that River Street, when it was changed, was reduced to an alley, 15 feet. Get a drilling rig up there. Anything. Absolutely not a semi. I don't know how that happened or why, but I don't want us today to make those same mistakes. So a platted street at 80 feet, to me, ought to be an 80-foot street with the traffic pattern less than that, because you need easement areas for, utilities. I also, want Mr. Schoenberg to know that the zoning board was not totally against him, but to meet the requirements of our resolution or ordinance of any, we had to have more information. In order to make a recommendation from the zoning board to the council, we needed more information. And we want to treat every resident the same with all the respect and honor we possibly can in this town and keep us floating. So I just have lots of concerns for the town, like I mentioned earlier. Love all of you and appreciate all the energy that come into this town and wanting us all to better ourselves. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Chuck?
Chuck Linsky, Pitkin. Just be patient with these lights. My glasses don't work too well. In November, Jake went and turned in a request to put a subdivision into lot 4, 36 lots over there, okay? And I've got a question on number 5. It says, discuss a request from Jake Schellenberg to develop River Street to access his property in block 2. Now we're talking block 4. Why are we even talking about this? We're talking, this is a document that was posted. We're talking about block 4. Why are we even discussing it? I'm just curious.
I believe in the agenda, it says development of River Street between 11th and 12th.
It does not. I'm going to read what number 5 says. Discuss a request from Jake Schellenberg to develop River Street to access his property in block 2. Block 2 is across from his house on the south side of the street. Block 2 is comprised of block 1 and 2. And then there's a street or alley or whatever. And then you've got block 3 and 4. How do we get to block 4? This needs to be postponed for next month, and we've got to write that in.
Well, I would have to say to get to block 2, you'd have to somehow get through block 4, probably.
Well, if you look, now this happened to have, this is what Jake turned in November. They even brought a magnifying glass. So instead of turning in 24 by 36-inch normal survey sheets, this is what he turned in November. For his 12-house subdivision in block 4, the first 18 lots, which is that one, okay? If you haven't seen this, you need to see it. Board requested or told him what he needed to do. Topographic survey, you can find out about the bridge he wanted to put in across 11th Street. A number of things, okay? Now, last month, in December, he withdrew his request to put in a subdivision in block 4. Right? Now, here we are this month, and all of a sudden, it's back on the agenda again to put in a subdivision. Now, something that's got to be addressed, and it's really important. You were here, and Jerry, you were here. I was the water commissioner, ditch commissioner, 2009, 2010, and 2011. And the ditches were a disaster. We had a 60% flow. Now weir allows us 1 cubic foot a second, and the weir will handle 1.3 cubic feet a second. So I went and took a test and basically became a parole officer for convicts in Gunnison to come up here and put labor in on the ditch. They did a stellar job. Okay? These guys worked their hearts out. And every guy that went back to the court, I sent a personal letter to the judge saying what an outstanding job they did for our entire community. Well, in that process, I got to learn a lot about the pitch.
Chuck, if you don't mind, could you try to narrow your focus down to what we're talking about right here tonight?
This is going as part of that focus and background. The way
Okay.
where this is going. Okay? I'm not trying to get the clock up, I'm just trying to give you some background. Anyhow, in that process, Bonnie Irby was a District 28 Community Creek Water Commissioner. We became very good friends. She got sick and she wanted me to become the District 28 Water Commissioner. I said, no, it's not happening. And Jack took the job and he's done a stellar performance with it. Anyway, in the process of getting the ditches back to 130% of their capacity, there's something that maybe you aren't aware of. The town could have had first water rights in the whole valley as of 1879. There was no corruption, I believe in. And we have a dedicated ditch number 2 that runs through the town. The town gave up a Kimmel Ditch from the Kids Pond down the north side of State Street. So in the early 70s, and some of you might know basically what date it was or year it was, they went to the water court and went to the third step that needs to be done. We're lowest people on the totem pole as far as the ditches go for water. It's time for a turn off at the first call. Okay? Water got expensive. We paid $800 one year to keep the ditches on. And the next time around, it went to your 13 or 15,000. Patients said, that's a use the mayor at the time. Well, in the process of getting these ditches sorted out, there's a book. That's Sarah trying to find it. I don't know if she's accomplished it or not. It's about 3 inches thick that I read. Every document in regards to that ditch since day one is in that documentation. Well, that ditch is right smack dab in the middle of River Street between 11 and 12. Okay, that is a surveyed, dedicated ditch, Pitkin ditch number 2. That's a huge problem. Okay, the water court's going to go nuts and find out you're considering potential vacating. What do you do with the ditch? Okay, that's a huge problem. And it doesn't change the fact that you look at these drawings here, nothing that was brought up in the 2 meetings that we had with planning. Zoning board, thank you, okay? We didn't talk about Reg 43. Do you remember this date, Eddie? April 12th, 2022? That ring a bell with you? You're good on this. Okay. On that date, you signed a 9-page document, and Sarah authorized that she witnessed you do it. It's published in the Denison Country Times on April 15th, 2022. Getting you guys or us in bed because we had to with Reg 43. Now that picture that you see there is those 18 lots down there in Block 4. If you go to Reg 43 and you print out page 43 and 44 of that 115-page document, it has all the setbacks that you need to do for OWTS systems. Okay? And I just have to make a comment. Look in the third to last column, and you'll see what the setbacks are from water, from that ditch. Not gonna happen. Nothing's going to be built. If Cusino comes in here and starts snooping around, there's gonna be problems. Don't put the birdhouse here, okay? We're not even talking about it. You're gonna have to have a topographic survey between 11th and 12th Street. River Street, the list goes on and on. Well, something had happened. Jake bought the property in 2021, I think it was in June, from Ample Family Trust, Luther's Trust, and then I think it's the son who's in charge of the trust. Well, he took it upon himself to make access to that property. We put 30,000 cubic feet of material at the end of 11th Street and cleaned the ditches up. That's why we were talking about the ditches earlier. My guys dug up 30,000 cubic feet. That's what I measured out and figured we took out of the ditches to get them back to a required depth of 18 inches and required width. Okay, we've got some places in town and it's not even close. If you get the ditch cops in here from the state, they aren't going to be happy.
And we don't want to see it. We don't want it. I don't want it. Now, we're talking about putting a subdivision in floodplain. If you look at those numbers, okay, you're not gonna put anything, right? Distances and that you need from the creek, Forks Creek, and the distances you need from that ditch. And you're not moving the ditch, because that thing is surveyed. That is a certified in the water board ditch to Pitkin. I believe Pitkin made a mistake. And we had one of those situations where we had to shut the ditches down. I can't remember, who's the fellow, Ramon, that was head of the Johnson Conservatory Water District, he started with the King in town for a year or so ago. Kubiak or something like that. What a great guy. He tried to find water. They've got a super satellite system. I said, well, listen, we got 7.5 acres on the west side of town here. It's a floodplain, blah, blah, blah. He says, you can't pump the water down. The town gave up timber. We were low people on the totem pole anyway. And why that was done, I don't know. If we had the water from the kids' pond, we could have had something coming through town for fire protection. And that ditch puts back 80% of the water that comes down. 20% is absorbed by the ground. You can use it for lawn sprinkling, gardens and things like that. Anyway, Jake decided on his own accord to make access to those 18 lots in block 4 on 11th Street. He took his skid steer in there and took those 30,000 cubic feet of material plus other stuff in there. Worked his way down into those 18 lots, wiped out all the willows, just about, took out all the flora that was there. Okay, you don't farm there anymore. Just didn't happen. Okay, he did that on his own. He made his own access to those 18 lots. Right now, he wants to open up River Street between 11th and 12th. The ditch is just one of the issues. You're gonna need a topographic survey. You're gonna have to have a professional road building crew come in here. It's bonded and licensed. Okay, this just isn't dump some gravel and let's spread it out and we're good to go. Then you're looking at the residents like me, Nuttleman, and the folks that bought DC's place from Carl. They don't even know about this, I don't think. Okay, now you're looking at, is it going to affect the value of our homes? Very likely. Talked to a few realtors and they said absolutely. Okay, so the town's got to take a really hard look at this. Something that, you know, you folks may not realize, it doesn't matter if it's municipal government, city, county, state, or federal government. Your purpose is only one thing and one thing only, and that's to provide for the safety and welfare of all citizens within the jurisdiction of our community. Okay? You've got to look at that. Are you going to abdicate to one person because he bought a red herring? I'm sure the Hengels are every 90 days putting in money in the jumbo CD. Captain McFarland is a wonderful tax assessor, has that property on the books at $50,500. And at the last meeting, we were at, Jake says, you know, we need to buy that property. What do you want? 750,000. Don't insult my intelligence, okay? I've got a suggestion, Jake. Okay? Are you listening?
Chuck,
So, no, this is important.
you direct your comments to the board, okay? Not to anybody in the audience. You direct them to us.
Right. Stand correct. Anyway, I think some of the things that you discussed prior to opening discussion to citizens are good ideas. You need to take a long, hard look at this. Okay.
All right.
Is it going to benefit the whole town in this thing of tax value and whatnot? And Jesse brought up some good things about kind of like the federal government. The IRS took in $4 trillion last year, and the government spent $6 trillion. Doesn't work. The numbers won't jive. And we're kind of in the same situation. You're right. Yes. Okay. So I think we've got an individual that is trying to say that we're going to do this, this, and this. And when you start looking into what some of the state and federal regulations are, it's impossible. It really is impossible. But I'm glad you're gonna take a good long look at it. This isn't gonna get done in 6 months or 9 months or a year. This could go on for a very, very long time unless you stop it now. And I think there's an obligation on the part of everyone here, like I said, for the welfare, for the safety of everyone in the community. Are we doing something for one individual, or are we doing it for the benefit of the entire community?
Okay, I think we got your point of view. Thank you, Chuck.
Appreciate.
All right. And just to remind everybody too, this is just a discussion. There's no vote. There's no vote on the agenda, period.
It
So
will come somewhere down the line.
it will.
You have to have a-
And
build a household.
we've heard the comments. Thank you. Ramon, I believe you had your hand up.
I'll probably be pretty brief, I think. That, to start with, you know, I'm gonna repeat a couple of things that, because it's important on what you do next, where you go. When I saw this on the agenda, first of all, it does say block 2, which doesn't make much sense because it's only a really small portion of land that is on this side of the creek in block 2.
I think we all know what we're discussing here, though.
That, so I looked at the rest of it and you gotta understand, well, my first question, 2 board members have already asked, and this is important, and you've got to get an answer, a clear answer from the attorney now. Because Tom, I asked Tom, what, a couple of weeks ago, is the town legally obligated to put in every street?
And we're gonna ask that. That's already been determined.
But don't limit it. You're dealing with a 1879 plat that has streets all over it, and a lot of those streets don't physically exist today. So that, you know, we're not just talking about River Street. We're talking about a lot of different places in town. It's an important question. Second thing you mentioned that, you know, suggestions of the town ought to do this or develop a policy on that rarely seem to go anywhere. I mean, you've all seen that. This is something that's important. You need to work on not just the specifications for streets. Who is authorized to approve a street? There have been several streets put in the last 2-3 years that never came to this board for approval. Is that, no, what's the policy? There is no policy. Develop one. What everyone needs to understand is that Pitkin, being 140-some years old, has this plat that the easy stuff has been done. The flatland portions of Pitkin have been filled in. So it's going to get tougher, and there's a lot of things that need to be considered, and you need to start looking at them now. One I'm going to bring up, I'm going to leave it for later, that you need to understand what Pitkin is lacking in what is looked at. And this map, this plat, this proposal, whatever it actually is, points out a lot of it. Water, wetlands, and Forks Creek. Does the town have any policy to protect those resources? Wetlands especially, but the Forks Creek. There's no setback to the creek in the zoning book. Why not? There's no setback or anything else in the zoning code dealing with wetlands. Why not? It's time that you start dealing with those and looking at them. The property that's in question on this request to develop River Street so that they can do something unspecified on their property. Well, if that unspecified thing is about the only thing that the zoning code allows, which is build a single family home on so many lots, and look at the plat and outline the river that goes through it. And what you'll see, with setbacks of 100 feet to any well, 50 feet to any water, I would say be lucky to be able to put one house on this side of the creek, on that property, on that entire block, on this side of the creek. Is that worth putting in a road for? Is that worth destroying, who knows, an acre or two of wetlands? That's the type of thing that the board needs to stop and consider, and not just say, well, how can we do this? Should you do it? And should you be looking at the town overall? That's all.
All right, thank you.
Pete Olson with public comment. During your discussion, indicated interest in consulting with your town attorney.
I can't hear you.
Said in your discussion before public comment, you indicated that you would consult with your new town attorney about what your obligations are as it relates to street development. Jake made the comment that he's aware of the wetland restrictions and is working to see what would be necessary to obtain a permit for construction in the wetland area. I would point out, and I think the town would want to talk to the town attorney about what regulations of wetlands apply to the town developing a street in a wetland area. Because most of that area is designated wetland. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Pete. Any other public comment?
Yeah, Jake Schulberg. I was just gonna correct Chuck on a few things. I think I mentioned many times, it'd probably be a max of 7 homes on the property, so forget what number he came up with, so that's incorrect. And then,
All right, hey, Chuck,
and then, as far as the ditch goes, I know I've had the River Street surveyed over there for the boundaries. But typically, let's say River Street is in the middle of, or the ditch is in the middle of River Street. So there are options to take care of that. It's not impossible. And it's very doable. And seems like there was one other thing. Oh, on my request initially was to put a street in between 11th and 12th. So I went back and checked my email, but like the mayor said, we all know what we're talking about.
all right. Is there anyone on Zoom that wants to?
Yes, I'd like to speak.
Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah. I don't want to repeat a lot of stuff that has already been said, but
Thank you.
I will note that putting in River Street, as has been proposed by Mr. Schellenberg, would adversely affect the property values of all of the people to the north of River Street. And I have to ask, for what purpose? Because all of the lots 1 through 16 in Block 4, which is the purpose for Mr. Schellenberg's road between 11th and 12th Street, those lots are going to be virtually unbuildable because of Colorado Reg 43 and the particular thing that Chuck referred to. That's a problem. So the town is being asked to okay this road for essentially no purpose. So that is my comment.
All right, thank you. Anyone else on? Okay. Chuck, is it something you've already stated before?
Chuck Linsky, Pitkin. This is off the property assessor's site, Anthony's filings. And this was available information prior to purchase this property. On there under land, other attributes, land type, primary, meadow, land type, secondary, river. Unique characteristics, steep slope greater than 45 degrees. That's on the southern 18. Unique characteristics, water influence. And then under views, it says typical or average. Even the assessor had this marked as water influence and river.
Okay.
So while Chuck's long-term memory may be good, his short-term is suffering. That was brought up at the last meeting. And that's because it's undeveloped. That's why it's described the way it is. As far as what Nuttleman mentioned, that's just a personal opinion on whether it will devalue a property. If Nuttleman's house valued at 500,000 sits there, and you put a street in and across the street you build a $1.2 million house, whose house is hurting whose? It's not the $1.2 million house hurting the $700,000 house. So that's simply a matter of opinion. And then the reason for the street is he mentioned there's 16 lots. Okay. Well, we will be dividing those up into buildable portions. And there should be an opportunity for about 3 homes on that side. And I mean, we've got all these very educated people that I'm not sure they've ever built more than one house in their life with this grand this intelligence of knowing exactly where you can and can't build. When I've talked to builders, huge development that build huge developments that say it's very buildable. So I prefer to lean towards their opinion than just someone in general who thinks he knows a lot.
All right.
I'd like to make one more comment.
Actually, unless there's something brand new, I think we've heard pretty good discussion on this. As I mentioned before, we're not taking a vote this evening. So is it something that you deem very critical for the board to hear at this juncture?
very quickly, Mr. Schellenberg was told by the zoning board to go off and get the detailed information to show that those lots were buildable, and he hasn't done that. So I think the zoning board is waiting for his response. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. All right, I think we're gonna wrap up this discussion. As I stated, there's nothing on there about voting or anything else for this, so I think we've had a pretty robust discussion this evening. We're gonna move on. We do have a budget hearing this evening. We have to do that, so we're gonna have a public hearing for the budget next.
I think I'm gonna,
So
all right.
I'd like to go ahead and open this budget hearing, the public hearing for the budget at this time. Sarah, would you please update us where we're at?
You might be saying Sarah.
So, we did make some minor changes to the budget. We did receive a final valuation from the county. So for 2024, we expect to receive $18,062 for the general fund in property taxes. In addition to that, we will receive $6,716 each into streets fund and the town hall fund for property taxes. So that's been updated from last month. Additional updates include the court compensation for the proposed ordinance, and also an update to taxes that will be spent. Let me find that real quickly. So FICA and Medicare expense 2024 proposed is $1,150. That is line 64, account number 6510. And account 6520, line 65, Colorado unemployment expense is proposed to increase to $50 for 2024 as a result of a change in compensation. I believe those were the primary changes for the budget. I believe everything else has remained the same to the proposed budget. As always, I have updated the month-end receipts and expenditures for December of 2023. We do have a couple of items that will come into our budget late, such as town sales taxes. We received town sales taxes for fiscal year 2023 until the month of February. So once we get to February, we'll be able to completely finalize the budget versus actual for 2023 and the year-end budget for 2023. So just so you also note, with the treasurer's reports, you'll notice that both the budget versus actual and the account balances say draft. That's because we don't receive all of our funds in for 2023 until the month of February. And at that time, those two will be finalized and updated.
All right. Board discussion? Questions? Lucinda, you have a question? Nope. Public comment?
Noted with the budget proposal, you have under services highlighted for enforcement of $3,000. I'm curious, reasoning behind that. And question, depending on the scope of enforcement anticipated, if that's sufficient should become necessary for the town to take legal action to fulfill the enforcement obligation. So I think that's something, I'm not sure what you have planned, but we thought through pretty carefully.
Sarah, you want to,
Sure, so when the board arrived at that number, the information, that was used is information that I was able to get from, various municipalities. So for an approximate amount of time per month, we looked at 15 hours per month for an enforcement officer and compensation of 3,150 to 4,215 would have been the range for low pay to mid pay for an enforcement officer working 15 hours per month. So that's where that figure came from.
so one thing we did too, as far as additional cost, it sounded like me when we talked to the attorney before that there shouldn't really be much additional cost court-wise to the
No.
town.
So that's correct. He did send a memo, and as long as the town follows due process for assessing a fine, for example, with the enforcement officer being the first level of that process, the town board of trustees being the second level, then I believe that the memo indicated that the third level, if it were to rise to that level, would be district court, which is not something that the town would have to pay for. Now, if the town skipped the step of the enforcement officer and the board of trustees was the first level, then there would have to then be an additional level that the town would be responsible for.
Which would probably be more local, would
Right.
be local.
So we would
County
all be
court.
doing jury duty.
So that's part of where that number came from, and we didn't pump it up any for additional court costs, looking at it in that.
You discuss exactly what it is the enforcement person would enforce.
We haven't gotten real detailed about that, but basically, I think the conversation was about zoning ordinances, complaints, et cetera. It's definitely not speed. It's not any kind of criminal enforcement, nothing like that.
Okay, well, I just question if there's an understanding of what it takes for the town to take legal action. You talk to your attorney. Trustee knows what we're talking about. I don't know what you think.
And I agree. I think that's something else that we can discuss with the attorney and also, and I think Sarah maybe has already broached this with Sursa, but definitely some impacts on our Sursa insurance. Any other public comments? Anyone online, public comment for what we're discussing on the draft budget for 2024?
I do have a question for the board. So I looked into the NEU funds that we received from the federal government during the COVID pandemic period. And those funds need to be spent by 12/31/24, I believe, or at least allocated. It's approximately $18,000, so it's not a massive amount of money. What I was not able to find out was whether or not we could use those funds for like this audio visual equipment and things like that. And so the board has two options, I would say at this point, to make sure that we utilize those funds. One would be we can go ahead and we can put them in the budget, and then we can look into some different projects. I know one of the major projects that many municipalities did with some of these funds was hazard pay and things like that, which doesn't really apply to the town of Pitkin. I know that they can be used for broadband. But at this point, we've kind of stalled out again, with moving toward, broadband options here at Pitkin. So.
Would you check and see if maybe that money could be used to hire a grant writer?
Okay,
for broadband.
sure. I will. So what the board can do is we can go ahead and we can allocate those funds toward the budget tonight. Or we can wait and we can do a budget amendment, which would just require another hearing. And I don't recall if that's an ordinance or a resolution. It's been a few years since we've had to do that. But either way, one is just as easy as the other. So either we'll do math tonight or we'll do math at a future meeting.
I think my preference is we just go ahead and put it off for this evening, and if we need to do a budget amendment,
Okay.
we can do that. And especially if you can come up with some answers about how we can actually spend it.
Yes.
I mean, it's potentially, there may be a problem in even getting it spent, so.
Right, okay, so we'll put that off, I'll try to have that done by February, since we've got 5 weeks between this meeting and next.
Okay,
Did you say the expiration date?
2024, end of the year.
December of. All right, if there is no other board discussion, I will go ahead and close the budget hearing. And we'll move on to the next item, discuss and vote to approve resolution 2024-3, which is adopting the 2024 budget. Also, resolution 2024-4, which is appropriating sums of money, and resolution 2024-5, which is setting the mill levy. Sarah sent out the information on that. So if you have a question, you can look and see what the mill levy is going to be. One thing I would like to bring up though, and we have discussed this before, is the amount of revenue that the town of Pitkin gets from property taxes is pretty minuscule. And in fact, the budget for 2024 was $18,000, right? And that,
Well, so the total that we will receive from property taxes is about $32,000. 18 of that will go toward general operating expenses. 1 mil, which is I think 6,700, give or take, will go to streets, and 1 mil is dedicated to town hall. So, but yes, the town, I mean, overall, considering the value of our town and the amount of taxes that we do pay into the county, that the town really doesn't benefit significantly from our property tax revenue.
considering the county valued the town of Pitkin, the valuation for the town of Pitkin properties at 6 million.
It was over 6, no, it was. Right.
Yeah.
6.7 million. And so we get a whopping 32,000 from that, 31,000.
That double from last year.
No, oh, the county evaluation, let me check that, I can check.
Mine was more than double.
Yeah.
I can tell you that.
Give me just 1 second, please, I can find that out.
This is
It
Tom.
was up approximately 2.2 million from last year.
Yeah.
Yes, 4.565 million last year.
This is Tom. How much does our mill levy get to increase per year? There's a minuscule amount it gets to go up.
It's 5.5% is the maximum we can increase our income from the mill levy.
And there's
It's
lots of,
also minuscule.
there's restrictions from the state on how we do that, and
Right.
yeah. All right, any other budget discussion on those resolutions? All right,
So, okay, so my question is, are we going to do this increase that we get to do? 5.5%.
that's what's been proposed. Yes, that's the mills that Sarah has proposed. That's,
Okay, thank you.
So we, every year, because it's such a small amount, we do request the maximum that can be assessed for the town.
all right, any other board discussion? If not, I would entertain a motion for resolution 2024-3 to adopt the 2024 budget.
Make a motion to adopt the resolution.
This is Tom, and I will second that motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2024-3. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? So carried. Moving on to the next item, resolution 2024-4 to appropriate the sums of money. So basically, that's to adopt the budget that we have proposed, that Sarah's proposed for us.
Correct. So that just says that we can then spend the money. We're appropriating it to our different
Right.
funds so that it can be spent.
Okay, this is Tom. And I will make a motion that we adopt resolution 2024-4 so that we can spend for the appropriation of sums of money.
Chris,
I'll second.
Sorry, Lucinda.
You can get the next one, Lucinda.
Okay,
All right. It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution 2024-4 to appropriate sums of money. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So carried. And the last one, resolution 2024-5 to set the mill levy. Sarah, you want to state one time just what that mill levy is for
Yes.
us?
So let's see here. The amount of money allowed by law for property tax revenue is $31,494. And there is a levy tax of 4.689 mils upon each dollar of the total valuation. And what that means in dollars is $6,716.
What was that again? I didn't,
$6,716 per mil.
per mill,
We're
right?
assessing a total of 4.689 mils, one of which goes to town hall, one of which goes to streets, and the remainder of which goes to the general operating expenditures of the town.
All right.
30-some thousand.
So I would entertain a motion for resolution 2024-5.
I will so move.
All right, Lucinda's on it. We have a motion.
Yeah, so
All right, we have a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2024-5. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? So carried. The next item on the agenda is a Board of Health meeting, and we've had a request from the applicant to postpone that at this time. We'll jump on down to reports. Town Mayor, I don't have a report. Sarah?
Yes, just a quick report. We are having an election possibly this April 2nd. This is the town's regular municipal election. It's held the first Tuesday in April in even years. At this time, 1 mayor's seat and 4 trustee seats will be open for election. Anybody who wishes to run for any of these seats is required to be nominated via a petition that I have. Petitions are allowed to be circulated between January 2nd and Monday, January 22nd, 2024. So if anybody has intentions of running, now would be the time to pick up a petition and get some signatures. If you have any questions about the election, about eligibility for holding a position, you are welcome to email or call at any time, and I will do my best to answer those questions. Thank you very much.
And we have written reports for the rest of the volunteers. Jess, did you have anything you wanted to?
We will be meeting a week from tonight, 7 o'clock, right here.
All right, zoning board meeting next week, 7 o'clock. All right, if there's no other business, I would entertain a motion to adjourn then.
This is Tom Gibb, and I would like to present a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
This is Chris, I'm gonna second it.
All right, we got a motion and a second. All in favor of adjourning, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Let's go home. Thanks, everyone.